Communications Amendment Bill 2023. This Council resumes the second reading debate on the Inland Revenue Amendment Aircraft Leasing Tax Concessions Bill 2023. Mr. Frankie Yik, Chairman of the Bills Committee on the bill, will first address the Council on the committee's report. Mr. Frankie Yik. President, in my capacity as the Chairman of the Bills Committee, I submit a report on the deliberations of the Bills Committee. The bill seeks to amend the Inland Revenue Ordinance, Chapter 112 IRO, to introduce measures to enhance the aircraft leasing tax regime. The Bills Committee has held 2 meetings and discussed in detail the relevant policy matters and the contents of the bill. The Bills Committee supports the administration's proposal to introduce 5 enhancement measures to enhance the aircraft leasing tax regime with a view to attracting aircraft leasing companies of different sizes to come to Hong Kong for development of business. Some members of the Bills Committee expressed concern about how the measures could enhance Hong Kong's competitiveness so as to achieve the target of having 3,100 aircraft leased in Hong Kong in the next 20 years. In this connection, the administration explained that it would be more flexible for aircraft lessors to set up companies in Hong Kong, and the tax incentives were more attractive. To step up promotion of the proposed enhancement measures, the administration advised that it had sponsored an industry association to organize the Hong Kong Aviation Finance Forum 2023 in December, and a number of major aircraft lessors had indicated support for the government's enhancement measures and would consider coming to or returning to Hong Kong to carry out aircraft leasing business. The administration will keep a close watch on different forums in the international arena and will attend them with representatives from relevant departments to reach out to more international aircraft lessors. Members of the Bills Committee also queried whether the administration would recruit more local manpower and train talents in the relevant industries to benefit different sectors of the community. The administration indicated that it would promote through the Maritime and Aviation Training Fund (MATF) the establishment of more aircraft leasing related programs and encourage universities to incorporate elements of aircraft leasing into the curricula of related professions. Members of the Bills Committee also raised questions about the actual operations of the tax-based concession provisions, such as how to ensure that the business of an aircraft lessor would qualify for tax concessions, the conditions to be met for the 20% tax-based concession, the conditions for interest income to be deductible, and particularly the reasons for the inclusion of the subject to tax condition, and tax treatment of aircraft inherited by a qualified aircraft lessor, which is an amalgamated company from an amalgamating company. The Bills Committee requested that the administration provide the relevant guidelines to the industry as soon as possible so as to respond to the questions raised by the industry on how the bill would be implemented in concrete terms, such as whether a wet lease agreement would constitute an airport transport service or a pure leasing activity, and how full-time employees would be defined and counted. Regarding the questions and concerns raised by members and the legal advisor to the Bills Committee, as well as submissions from members of the public on the bill, the administration had responded to those either at the meeting or in writing. President, the Bills Committee has completed its scrutiny of the bill. Neither the Bills Committee nor the administration will propose any amendment to the bill. The details of the committee's deliberations have been set out in its report to the Council. President, the following are my views on the bill. The outline development plan for the Greater Bay Area states that Hong Kong should be developed into an airport cluster and that Hong Kong should leverage on its advantages to develop various logistics initiatives. And after the preferential tax regime was launched in 2017, the proposed enhancements now would definitely be beneficial. The Liberal Party therefore supports the bill. Before it Hong Kong's aircraft leasing industry only takes up the world business's 2%. Now it has significantly increased. Such activities would bring about great economic benefits. And it is said in a previous policy address that Hong Kong should be developed into a center for aircraft leasing, and in 2017, after that study has been undertaken, it was proposed that Hong Kong should be developed as such. Right now, there are 100 airplanes that are leased from in Hong Kong. We have a slow start, so our market share is less than 1% at the moment. With the tax incentives in 2017, we have seen improvement in aircraft leasing business, but we have taken a hit after the pandemic. After the pandemic, we have gradually resumed normal. We expect more growth in the business, especially in the number of tourists, from 6.1% to 11.4%. And Boeing and Airbus, they expect that they will produce 80,000 aircraft. We can see that there is great potential to be tapped into here. So the Liberal Party supports the government to make use of this opportunity and seize the businesses brought about by this opportunity. Aircraft would cost much per aircraft, and in order to implement a wet lease, that is, if we want to have a lease that would include aircrew, that would help save costs, and aircraft operators can then flexibly adjust their deployment of planes. Right now, aircraft leasing would often make use of wet leases instead of dry leases, that is, leases that would only include the planes. And the terms of leases are very flexible. In fact, now over 50% of the planes are now leased. As a global financial center, Hong Kong is well positioned to facilitate aircraft leasing business. With the growth in the economy in the mainland, there is great demand for planes. In 2037, in the Asia Pacific, we would have 37.5% of the number of fleet in the world, and 18,600 would be China's civil aviation fleet. It would form a huge part of the market. And Hong Kong can act as a springboard for mainland companies. In order to develop into an aircraft leasing hub and promote the business of aircraft leasing, Hong Kong is proposing to enhance tax measures such as the one-off full acquisition cost of aircraft, and to provide a more general meaning of aircraft leasing activity, as well as allow deduction of interest payable. These enhancements are made in response to market changes, and I believe these will help enhance our competitiveness. And in fact, compared to Ireland and Singapore, these traditional aircraft leasing centers, these enhancement measures would make Hong Kong more attractive than these jurisdictions. Aircraft leasing is a global business that is not restricted by geographical barriers. often companies would want to go to jurisdictions that would provide significant tax incentives to them to set up shop. And in fact, Ireland has done so to attract companies to set up business there, thus making their market share very high in the market, amounting to 60%. In the next 20 years, the target is for Hong Kong to lease 3,100 aircraft, and that would be an increase from the market share right now to 12.5%. The enhancement measures are obviously very important for the aircraft leasing companies in the mainland and Hong Kong. I said before that the withholding tax rate should be decreased from 5% to 3%. 5% is comparable to that of the mainland and Ireland, but this is not attractive enough for aircraft leasing companies to move their operations to Hong Kong. If we can decrease the withholding tax rate further, it will enhance Hong Kong's competitiveness, and that would be beneficial for Hong Kong to develop into an aircraft leasing hub. In fact, the development of aircraft leasing business would bring about benefits to related professions as well, such as accounting and law. The administration should therefore, apart from launching the relevant enhancement measures, sign more tax agreements with other jurisdictions, CDTAs with other jurisdictions. Right now, Hong Kong has only signed such agreements with 48 jurisdictions. It is much less than Ireland. This is one of the factors that companies would consider when choosing where to set up their aircraft leasing business. So we should really consider doing more in this regard. President, I so submit speaking in support the resumption of second reading debate and third reading of the bill. Thank you.
Deputy President, thank you. I believe that the Inland Revenue Amendment Aircraft Leasing Tax Concessions Bill, upon its passage, will help drive the development of aircraft leasing business and can facilitate Hong Kong becoming an aircraft financing center. In recent years, to save on operating costs, many airlines have opted to leasing aircraft instead of buying aircraft. And globally, around 40% of the aircrafts are leased. And after the epidemic in particular, aircrafts are facing cash flow pressure, and they opted to lease aircrafts that will help or allow them more flexibility in the use of their cash. That brings a lot of opportunities to aircraft leasing business. Towards the end of 2020, the major aircraft lessors, 14 of them are Chinese aircraft lessors. In the future, China will be one of the major aircraft transport market, and there will be a high demand for aircraft leasing. Against this background, I believe that the amendment exercise this time will facilitate Hong Kong in enhancing its competitiveness in the aircraft leasing business, because aircraft leasing is a global business and its operation is not bound by territorial constraints. And the tax concessions are very important for aircraft lessors in choosing their operation location. And Hong Kong has a number of advantages to become a very attractive aircraft leasing platform, including we have a sound legal and banking system, a robust capital and diversified capital market. We have an excellent talent, and we also enjoy the backing of the immense mainland market. And when we try to enhance tax concessions this time, we can give full play to Hong Kong's advantages in financing services, and we will try to grasp the opportunities in the changes in the aviation market, and we can diversify Hong Kong's economic structure as well, and also update Hong Kong's soft power as a aviation center. According to the industry, introducing the tax concessions will enable Hong Kong to snatch a 12.5% market share in the global leasing market, and 1,000 direct job opportunities, as well as 20,000 indirect job opportunities will be created. As to whether tax concessions will affect the government's tax revenue, my understanding is that if we can enhance the tax concessions regimes to attract more aircraft lessors to come to Hong Kong and diversify the industry as a whole, we will be able to increase our tax revenue instead. And we will be able to create new job opportunities, and that carries even greater benefits for Hong Kong. So I speak in support of the Inland Revenue Amendment Aircraft Leasing Tax Concession Bill 2023. And I also suggest the government should further fine-tune the facilitation measures concerned to attract overseas and mainland aircraft lessors to establish subsidiaries in Hong Kong, and also which dovetail with the outline development plan of the GBA, which says that we should leverage on Hong Kong's logistics and financial services advantages to develop aircraft leasing and aircraft financing businesses, and we should turn Hong Kong into a integrated global aviation hub. I so submit. Dr. Lo Wai Kwok. Deputy President, I speak in support of the IRA Aircraft Leasing Tax Concessions Bill 2023. The bill seeks to amend the Cap 112 to introduce measures to enhance Hong Kong's aircraft leasing regime to enhance our competitive edge. The bill was introduced in 29th of November 2023, and a Bills Committee was established. I'm a member of the Bills Committee. I have declared to the Bills Committee I'm a member or a director of the Airport Authority of Hong Kong. Well, civil aviation has grown steadily. According to international market research, it says that in the next 20 years, Hong Kong, the global and the China as aviation volumes will increase by 6.1% and 11% respectively, and the air freight cargo will also increase annually by 4.5%, and there will be 42,000 aircrafts to be delivered in the next 20 years, among which 20% will be delivered to China. And in the past several decades, China's aircraft leasing market has grown exponentially. From 1970 to 1970, only 1% of the aircraft was being leased. Now the figure is 50%. So the business will bring benefits to different sectors like legal, financing sectors, and so on. But then the aviation industry was hard hit by the 2019 COVID-19 pandemic, and the global aircraft leasing business has also seen many changes. Traditionally, there was the dried lease. Now the leasing model has become more of a wet lease. That means the lease covers also the aircraft crew maintenance insurance services as well. And there is also the funding lease, which is getting more popular. Now, according to this arrangement, the aircraft lessor is also the financier, and at the end of the lease, a lessee can choose to purchase the aircraft. There are other changes. The lease term has been shortened from several years to less than 1 year, and the aircraft lessors will also lease the aircraft to companies other than airlines, and they will also be borrowing from a financier outside of Hong Kong and who is an associate of the borrower as well. So these are all the changes we are seeing. So OECD also in relation to because of the base erosion and profit shifting brought about by the development of the digital economy, has come up with the global tax reform called BEPS 2. And 2012, Hong Kong, together with 130 jurisdictions, have promised that we will implement the BEPS 2.0. So this is the bill is drawn up in response to these various changes, so that Hong Kong can grasp the opportunities therein. Aircraft leasing is a global business, is not bound by territorial boundaries or constraints. For aircraft lessors, air concessions is an important consideration for choosing their domicile places. Hong Kong has started very late, and in 2017, the aircraft leasing preferential tax regime was launched, and that was the time we started paying attention to the business. And aircraft lessors have leased a total of 100 aircrafts to date, but then our market share is less than 1% now. If our aircraft leasing tax regime cannot catch up with the times, catch up with the developments in the industry and also the international tax reform, we will be losing out all the opportunities and the relevant economic benefits. Hong Kong's aircraft leasing started at a late time, but then we do have distinctive advantages. First, Hong Kong has unique advantages under one country, two systems, and we have the strong backing of the country. 5 years ago, the country issued the outline development plan of the GBA. We should leverage on our financing, our logistics advantages to develop high value added financing and aviation business. Hong Kong should also be turned into 8 major centers, including an international aviation center. And the 20th National Congress report to the CCP also said that Hong Kong should consolidate its status in various sectors like aviation, financing, and so on. So our advantages are very obvious. Hong Kong is the only place in China where common law is practiced, and we have a diversified capital market. We have a good foundation in our aviation industry. We have a good caliber talents. We can strongly rely on the support of the country. So we are well positioned to be developed into a major aircraft leasing platform. So the bill provides further incentives to attract aircraft lessors to come to Hong Kong to develop their business. The bill will introduce a number of enhancement measures, including allowing aircraft lessors with tax deduction of acquisition cost of aircraft, and also expand the scope of the regime to include wet lease and funding lease, and remove the 1-year term of lease restriction. And it will also provide for a more general meaning of aircraft leasing activity to cover leasing activities other than leasing aircraft to aircraft operators. And it also will allow deduction of interest payable for acquisition of aircraft to a financier outside of Hong Kong who is not a financial institution, and also prescribe threshold requirements for aircraft lessors and aircraft leasing managers qualify the regime to comply with the OECD's requirements. The members of the Bills committees are generally in support of these enhancement measures so that we can enhance our competitive edge and to respond more speedily to the rapidly changing operating environment. But the bill alone does not suffice. We must further promote aircraft leasing business by trying to give full play to our advantages. The government should keep up with its efforts to do work in this regard. There should at least be 2 areas where work should be beefed up. First, we must try to compete for enterprises and talents to come to Hong Kong. We must watch closely how the global changes are impacting on Hong Kong, and we must be in in touch with aircraft lessors overseas. We must make full use of the advantages of Hong Kong's higher education institutions and also the resources under the MATF to provide more aviation leasing courses to attract young blood to the industry. We should also step up regional cooperation. According to the industry, by enhancing and tax concessions, in the next 20 years, we hope to snatch a 12.5% market share in the global market, i.e. 3,100 aircrafts will be leased via Hong Kong. And then the mainland has a great demand for aircraft leasing as well. The government should try to partner with the Chinese companies and achieve a win-win situation. I so submit in support of the Inland Revenue Amendment Aircraft Leasing Tax Concession Bill 2023.
Mr. Rock Chen. Deputy President, I would first like to declare that I am a director of the board of the Airport Authority. I first would like to express my support for the bill. The bill would have multiple enhancements to the aircraft tax regime. One, to provide qualifying aircraft lessors with tax deduction of the acquisition cost of aircraft, to expand the scope of the regime to include other leases and remove the term restriction, to provide a more general meaning of aircraft leasing activity, to allow deduction of interest payable for acquisition of aircraft, and to prescribe threshold requirements. These would bring about great benefits to Hong Kong. With the development of Hong Kong into an aviation hub, aircraft leasing business is something that we're looking into as a form of investment. Hong Kong, with its advantages, would provide an ideal environment for the development of aircraft leasing business, and we should attract more aircraft leasing businesses to set up operations in Hong Kong. There has been rapid development in the industry, and with the promulgation of BEPS 2.0, Hong Kong should enhance its aircraft leasing tax regime to enhance competitiveness. According to an international market survey, in the next 20 years, the passenger throughput will increase by 6.1% and 10.4%, 11.4% annually. And we would have 42,000 new aircraft, and 20% of them will be delivered to China. You can see that we have indeed a great demand for aircraft leasing, and most of the customers of aircraft leasing business are in the mainland, so companies can make use of the platform in Hong Kong to develop their business in the mainland. With the enhancements, we will have more job opportunities created. We have 20 to 30 aircraft leasing companies conducting businesses. The number of aircraft involved is 100. With more aircraft, we would need more talent, including aircraft technicians, finance professionals, and so on. We would need to enhance our job market, and this will create an impetus for further growth. The development in aircraft leasing business will also bring about development of related professions such as accounting and law, and in turn, more revenue will be generated for Hong Kong. I believe with more clarifications, the provisions of the bill have become clearer. At the moment, upon providing information to the Inland Revenue Department, companies may obtain advance ruling on whether threshold requirements are met. This will enhance transparency and certainty. With my considerations above, I support the bill because I believe it would provide more room for development of aircraft leasing business in Hong Kong, and that will facilitate Hong Kong leveraging its advantages because it is a highly liquid and competitive center. It will help make our economy more diversified. I so submit speaking in support of the bill. Thank you, Deputy President. Dr. Johnny Ng. The proposed enhancements can bring about development of aircraft leasing business, and in turn it will bring about development of related professions such as accounting and law. Aircraft leasing business is not subject to any geographical restrictions. Therefore, aircraft leasing companies would choose their location of operations based on tax incentives offered. The proposed enhancement measures are the right direction to take, so I support the bill. I do understand that the proposed enhancement measures would bring about advantages, but then we are still lagging behind Ireland and Singapore. Ireland takes up 60% of the market at the moment, and Hong Kong accounts for less than 1% of the market share. Apart from attracting more aircraft leasing companies to come to Hong Kong, should work with other jurisdictions. We should leverage our advantages under the positioning of 8 centers to attract these aircraft leasing companies to set up operations in Hong Kong for the coordinated development of the Greater Bay Area. At the moment, we do not have many aircraft leasing courses in academic institutions. We should take into consideration market developments. We can make use of the MATF and International Aviation Academy to provide more comprehensive training for relevant professionals, and we should also incorporate elements of aircraft leasing in the curricula of related professions. Hong Kong should also promote its tax incentives more to attract major aircraft leasing companies to set up operations in Hong Kong. We should participate in more forums, for example, such as in December, we have had the Hong Kong International Aviation Finance Forum. That was a great opportunity for us to promote our tax incentives. All in all, the outline development plan for the GBA stated that Hong Kong should make use of its advantages to develop logistics business, and we should consolidate our status as the 8 centers. We believe with the proposed enhancement measures, it will consolidate Hong Kong's development into an aircraft leasing hub. Thank you.
Mr. Yim Kong, thank you, Deputy President. I speak in support of the Inland Revenue Amendment Aircraft Leasing Tax Concessions Bill 2023. Now, this is to provide a better provincial tax that will be attractive to aircraft lessors. The administration is moving with the times, is enhancing the aircraft leasing preferential tax regime that it introduced in 2017, and now we have major competitors, Ireland, Singapore, and Tianjin. So the administration is taking into account their measures. So the 5 enhancement measures are now better than their offers. So we could bring in aircraft lessors of different sizes to come to Hong Kong with the new enhancement, and this will be a new driver for our economic growth. This will also mean more jobs opportunities here. Now, the amendment bill is taking the first important step, but then we have to consider the long-term development of the aviation industry, so the government needs to provide various support measures still. First of all, it must keep promoting our industry. The Hong Kong Aviation Finance Forum, the Hong Kong Aviation Finance Forum is an important channel, but then there are other platforms as well. Now, in 2023, the State Council issued a document on speeding up the development of the aviation industry. It is an important service industry, so it's an important connected industry with the financial industries, transportation sector, and so on. And then the other ministries in finances, customs, and so on also published another notice on taxation for aviation industry. So the tax regime is being improved further. And then there is also other documents and notices issued by the government on the healthy development of the financial industry and so on. They all mentioned that we need to promote the development of the aviation industry. Local governments should discuss to have better communication with the sector. And secondly, we need to train more talents for the industry. Now, we have a large number of management, legal, accounting, financial talents. That's because the government works with tertiary institutes so we should also have special program for training aviation talents. And then we should encourage aircraft leasing industries to use professional services in Hong Kong. This will help instead of directly hiring employees. And then thirdly, we need to seize upon the development opportunities of the country. And then we could also benefit from the side businesses to be developed. Now, for aircraft lessors, the top 20 around the world, 6 are Chinese funded, and there are other aircraft lessors on the mainland that are among the top 50 in the world. Tianjin, Dongjiang bonded tax zone started to build a aircraft leasing industry. In 8 years, it completed the leasing of 1,000 aircrafts, and in another 5 years, it met the goal of 2,000 aircrafts. So this has become the second largest aircraft leasing center after Ireland. And that's the value of the business is more than 500 billion renminbi, 500 trillion renminbi. So Ireland is largest aircraft leasing base in the world is because it has depreciation policy, preferential tax regime, and so on. It also has avoidance of double taxation agreements with many countries. So with this advantage, Ireland is able to gain a foothold in the European market. Now, Hong Kong is to develop into 8 international centers, including international aviation center. So we need to work closely with the mainland so we could both develop here. Thank you. Does any other member wish to speak? If not, I call upon the Secretary for Transport and Logistics to reply, then the debate will come to close. Secretary. Deputy President, first of all, I'd like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Frankie Yik, Chairman of the Bills Committee, and other members of the committee, as well as colleagues of the LESCO Secretariat for their hard work and support in making possible the smooth and speedy conclusion of the deliberations of the bill. I'm also grateful to members, the 6 members who spoke just now, for their support and views. Civil aviation is a stable and long-term growth business. Under the global trend, the demand for aircraft by the mainland aviation industry has grown substantially, leading in turn to increased demands for aviation financing services. This growth in demand brings immense business opportunities to the financial and professional services sectors. The development of the aircraft leasing business will also add diversity to our economic structure and enhance our soft power as an international aviation and financial center. Aircraft leasing is global and footloose in its operations, and tax incentive is the most important consideration for aircraft lessors in choosing where to conduct their business. Other major regions for aircraft leasing started to develop aircraft leasing business and offer tax incentives to aircraft lessors as early as the 1990s. The aircraft leasing business started to take shape in Hong Kong only after the government introduced the aircraft leasing preferential regime, tax regime, in 2017. We must make sure that the regime is able to keep up with market changes and the pace of international tax reforms. This will allow us to fully leverage on our advantages as an international financial and aviation hub, with a view to bringing more global aircraft leasing businesses to Hong Kong. As I explained during the second reading of the bill on the 29th of November last year, the bill proposes to amend the Inland Revenue Ordinance Cap 112 to introduce enhancement measures to the regime. The measures are to provide qualifying aircraft lessors with new tax deduction of the acquisition cost of aircraft, expand the scope of the regime to include different types of leases and aircraft leasing activities, allow the deduction of interest payable for the acquisition of aircraft, and prescribed threshold requirements in compliance with the requirements of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Upon the passage of the bill, the legislative amendments will take retrospective effect from the year of assessment beginning on the 1st of April 2023 for the early implementation of the enhancement measures. This will allow the regime to remain competitive in the global aircraft leasing industry. As we keenly look forward to the commencement of the bill on the 1st of April 2023, we have started already publicity on the enhancement measures to the industry and promote the Hong Kong platform to aircraft lessors. The Hong Kong Aviation Finance Forum 2023, organized by industry associations under the sponsorship of the Transport and Logistics Bureau and Invest Hong Kong, was held on the 4th of December last year. Many major global aircraft leasing companies and other stakeholders, including aircraft manufacturers, the banking sector, the accounting and legal professions, attended the forum. The sector in general supported and welcomed the government's enhancement measures. Some aircraft lessors actually indicated that they would consider coming or returning to Hong Kong to set up companies or operations. This year we will attend different international events and forums together with representatives from the relevant departments and the sector to publicize our enhanced aircraft leasing preferential tax regime. President, we need to bring these major aircraft lessors to Hong Kong or back to Hong Kong as soon as possible for them to use the Hong Kong platform for their aircraft leasing business. We need to introduce the proposed enhancement measures without delay. To this end, I implore members to support the second reading of the bill. I so speak. Thank you, President.
I now put the question to you that the Inland Revenue Amendment Aircraft Leasing Tax Concessions Bill 2020-3 be read the second time. With those in favour, please raise their hands. Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of the members present. I declare the motion passed. Inland Revenue Amendment Aircraft Leasing Tax Concessions Bill 2023. This council now becomes Committee of the Whole Council to consider the Inland Revenue Amendment Aircraft Leasing Tax Concessions Bill 2023. And no proposal